Hey everybody, I'm your host, Mr. D. Welcome to Inside Step TV. Normally, Miss REMO here would be the host, but today we want to get to know her a little better. So why don't we just jump right on into it? And I'm gonna put her in the hot seat. How you doing, Miss REMO?
How you doing? We can shake hands. Don't get too comfortable though. Let's not get it twisted.
I mean, but I love the chair.
It is comfortable.
It's a comfortable chair.
It is.
I mean, why don't we just get started?
Let's do this.
So the people want to know, when did you first fall in love with stepping?
I think for me, I first fell in love with stepping was, I know when I was a high school cheerleader, I was a cheerleader and we were competing. And I realized that when I was competing in the high school, it really was just stepping, because that's what we were doing. We were doing movements, stomping. And when we would go to competitions, everyone was like, go, team, go. And I'm like, yeah. And we're like, you're ugly, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I think we're actually steppers. And that was the first time that I fell in love with it. And then in high school, I became captain. And then it was just something that was always drawn to me. And when I went to college, I was part of my sorority, Omega Phi Beta, my sorority. And then I found that their step team, the nationals, approached me to create something. And I decided to. And then at that moment is when I felt like this was it for me. Not so much a career, but so much that I just felt that it was the only time where I can feel free, right? I can use my body to create the sound. And I didn't need anyone else. I can be by myself or I can be with a team. But I felt like it was so powerful that I think at that moment when I was in college, I was really able to express myself, especially when I stepped to tell the stories of my sorority and about the members of the team. For me, that was it. Like I knew at that moment, competing and performing, that, stepping was truly life for me, at least in college. And it really got me through a lot of times in college that the growing changes. It really helped me develop, I feel, who I am today.
So you was on a cheerleading team in high school?
Well, yes, because the core fundamentals. Yeah, I was a cheerleader.
And so you was just one of those like happy persons all the time, or you just knew you wasn't a happy person and you wanted to have this grill?
Well, you know what? I ran my cheerleading squad very militant, because I believe that everything should be militant. I believe everything should have an account. Everything should be in order. I'm a little bit of a control freak. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I work for you, so
exactly.
I think I do.
So now you know that. So with cheerleading, there's structure, there's gymnastics. So we did the gymnastics part. So I love the structure and the consistency and the formation. So a lot of my groundwork is where I picked up in cheerleading, mostly gymnastics. And I took those cores and brought them into stepping. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, but how did stepping really change your life though?
I think in the beginning when I was in college, I graduated, and the difficult part for me was transitioning from college into working full time, right? Because when you're in college, you're hanging out, you don't have really a sense of real responsibilities, because you're hanging out with your friends and you're taking classes different times. But when I graduated, I realized, okay, there's no job for stepping. I didn't really think I was going to make it as a career. I applied to law school. I knew I was going to be a lawyer. I was taking my LSATs, and I worked in politics. I graduated poli-sci and I became a director of legislation for.
Well, this is a totally different
Yeah, it was totally.
game.
And then when I graduated, I was just I felt incomplete. I was still doing my sorority step team, but it was something that was part-time. And I just felt I was more myself when I was there, because with stepping, not only do you learn choreography, you learn discipline, you learn how to create, produce events, you learn how to manage people, learn personalities. And I just felt something was missing. I didn't feel complete. So I started teaching kids after school for free at no cost. Somebody saw me and they said, you know what? You should do this for a living. But I was still working full time. So I pretended I had an injury in my arm and I had to go to therapy. So I had to change my work hours and work from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then run from there to go teach after school. And I was doing it from September all the way till December. And I did really well. And then the following year, they were like, we want you to come back. And I couldn't come up with another excuse that I broke my arm again.
Okay.
So at that time, I think I said I broke my leg. I had another excuse there. It was another therapy. And that's when I realized, at the time I met my husband, he was like, you really need to make a decision. If you want to do this, this is your time to do it. But if you're doing, you have to give up everything. And I think that was a pivotal moment for me, because do I follow the traditional route of becoming a lawyer, and doing what you love to do. I mean, following a lawyer and doing what you're supposed to do versus doing what, you know, you want to do. And I tried to explain that to my mom, and she really didn't understand that. And if you see my MTV True Life, you'll see the episode where my mom is like, "Where's the money? Where's the money?" And
yeah,
I'm
my
like,
mom is always talking that.
yeah. So it was very difficult to have people see that it can be a career when you yourself don't have a path to follow. So I think at that moment, I had to come to realization that in order for me to make it a career, I had to lose everything. And the thought of losing everything means that you have to give up everything. And if you have to give up everything, that means if you fail, then you have no one else to blame, is yourself. And that was a really difficult decision for me. And even till this day, it's something that I constantly have to struggle with because I've sacrificed so many years in this game that if I quit, then everything that I've done that's led me to this was not even worth it. That means I lost so many years of my life.
But hold on, I really need you to explain something to me because you didn't just follow a path, you created a path. Like stepping to you and how you created it, what is this system that everyone is going to be learning, you know, in one of your master classes? Then you create a system?
Well, that's a really good question you're asking. It's a perfect question.
I'm going to say, because it ain't just stepping around here.
Well, when I started stepping, obviously, you know, I received some backlash. You know, I wasn't, you know, the right gender, the right color skin, right neighborhood, the right sorority. And I felt like I love stepping, but I had to do something more. I couldn't just take from the art form. I had to give back to it. So I decided to create a system where there was core fundamentals to stepping. So imagine when everyone talks about dance, what do they say? Oh, you have to take ballet because that's the core fundamentals. Exactly. So what if the REMO system was the core fundamentals to step? So what I did is that I created actually a written language where people can actually learn the letters of the alphabet, which they would do every single day, and apply basic numbers to them. So they can learn the counts, which they do every day in dance and every single day in their lives, and actually create a word system. So now what we created was a system, a language where people can actually step, but actually study the language. And once they study the language, they not only can have something to follow, but they can also write, create the language, and constantly develop new choreography. Because it's just not enough for you to take from an art form. In order for you to be a true artist, you have to give back. And I think for me, I was exhausted when people keep on saying that stepping is not an art form. It is. It's the only art form where your body is actually the sound. I can put a Nicki Minaj song and people are bouncing to it. But if I'm standing there creating the sound and performing the sound, that's a lot more difficult to do. So for me is we're able to write this choreography and send the choreography across the world, then everybody is constantly creating and developing new choreography, but no one's looking at it like they don't understand it. Everyone has a core and a reference point. And that to me was why we created, you know, the REMO system and why it's copyrighted and why the art of stepping is actually trademarked. We wanted to make sure that it was a system that everyone in the world can relate to, but it was a system that we had cores to stepping and no one can say this is my style. No, this is a style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everyone has their own different styles, but we're trying to create that, you're trying to create that one style that everyone can piggyback off of that branch out.
Absolutely. And I've never said that the art of stepping or the REMO system is the only style to do. What I am doing is providing a core fundamentals for everyone to have their style so that they can able to explain their style to mainstream. So imagine if everyone could sit down and write their own choreography. One, you'll never forget a beat. Two, you can easily submit a beat or send the beat to anyone. And if you had a routine, here's the ring choreography, here's the track, match the sound, and you can perform with anyone across the world at any time. Exactly. Phenomenal. I know. This is greatness.
You know,
it's greatness.
Sometimes, ooh, girl, I wish I was you sometimes. Oh, Lord. But, you know, but still people, it's a lot of people out there that are, you know, because I was one of them where I felt like I couldn't do nothing with stepping. I couldn't make money off of it. I couldn't make a career out of it. So to all those people out there that are thinking like I used to think, what would you say to them, and how can they use stepping to move forward?
I think the reality that people need to realize is not one person owns stepping. That is the biggest myth that I've ever met. Stepping is an art form, like every single art form out there. And because it is an art form, it develops and is created by those who touch it, and by those who believe in it, and by those who create for it. So I actually get offended when people believe that stepping can't be done for a living. So my main focus is that we can't continue to produce after-school programs with kids and have them step. We can't continue to produce competitions where the kids are stepping and they give their blood, sweat, and tears, and they're not going anywhere. They're supposed to go back to college and forget about it. And we cannot continue to have step teams and organizations that are stepping for a living in college and then they graduate and it's done. It's not fair. It's not right. So we're telling these kids, give me 20 hours of practice, skip your homework, do all these different things. All right, now skip your homework. I went too far.
I was thinking if I could skip my homework.
No, I went too far. But devote so many hours where there's sacrifice, summers, nights, practices, blood, sweat, and tears, and tell them that it's done. It's done. So I don't do stepping, or Art of Stepping doesn't try to do this full time or give people a career because of myself. I do it because when I look at these kids and we're teaching them, we are giving them a false hope. So my job is to make sure that when they're done with stepping or they go to college and they get that education, they come back and they can do this full time. So I have to constantly make sure that people can do this full time and have the same opportunities like the dance, like the scholarships. Why can't we have scholarships? Exactly. So World of Step it's focusing on providing an opportunity in Art of Stepping where kids can have the same opportunities like any other dance form and do it for a living. Because for every single kid that's out there that's stepping, and those coaches, and sometimes we forget, that's the problem. As coaches, we're living our dreams, and it is not about our dreams. It is about the impact that we are doing to these kids. And we have to make it a safe, comfortable place where they're learning, they're growing, and they can do this for a living. And until we join forces and work as an alliance and work together, then everyone's going to do their own thing. And for me, that is my main focus. I'm not trying to be out here and be like anybody else. My job is to have my kids enjoy the art form, be part of the movement, and have a place when they graduate and learn from everybody. Because my style is not the only style, but my style is my style, and I want them to learn from everyone so we can continue to grow this art form.
Oh, I felt that.
You felt it?
I felt that. Yes, girl. That was such an amazing interview. I hope y'all really enjoyed today's episode because there's more in the works. If you want to find out anything else about Inside Step TV, go to www.worldofstep.com because there's going to be more.
There's going to be a lot more. Hashtag World of Step.
Hashtag Step is Life.
Step.